This is Rob Tubber for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Joined here today by the new WBO Global Welterweight Champion, the Black Panther, Luther Clay, has popped down to Boxing Social HQ. How are you, Luther?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Thanks very much for coming down to the gym. I was almost say coming down to the gym. There he goes.
He said I'm the new. I had to get it out. That's the belt. Straight to Bracknell, Berkshire. RG.
How are you, Luther? How many days ago was your fight? You boxed last Thursday, so it's been a week. How's that week been?
Yeah, it's been cool. I've been a D-list celebrity down at the pub. But nah, man, it's been good. I've just been resting, doing a bit of training, little swimming, light stuff, and I'm very excited, Made my Matchroom debut. Obviously, it was overseas, but it was still good to be on Sky and get the recognition and exposure.
Obviously, you boxed in Italy. For people who aren't as familiar with your career as hopefully they will be, now you've obviously got the belt, and after watching this interview, I mean, we've spoken about it in the past when you've come down about kind of the fact that you've travelled around a lot in your career, not only to fight, but also to train and spar. How beneficial do you think that was, having that kind of experience going into fighting away from home, so to speak, in Italy?
Yeah, you know what? It's just become like another day for me. Like, you go around and you kind of get used to being in different countries, different towns. Not potentially having the attention on you and just going and doing your job. So for me, if boxing was unbiased, like there was no such thing as home decisions and home advantage, I would box away every single time, because for me it's simple. I get off the plane, I go weigh in, I go fight, and I go home. It's straightforward for me, less hassle. So I like it, and it was great to be in Italy, and I come back, took WBO belt off undefeated champion, 15-0, and it's good, it's great, I'm happy.
Spoke to Eddie yesterday. He's full of praise for your performance. He told me that he went in to see you before the fight, came into the change room. What did he say?
Eddie came in and gave me the loser speech. He came in and was like, do your best, this is your chance, make the most of it. Give me a little pat on the back. I was like, alright. But I knew what I was going to go do, and it was very nice for him to do that. And he came in afterwards as well and congratulated me and said it was a good performance, And I'm just happy that he's been dropping my name a bit, giving me a little 5 minutes of fame. So it's good.
What did you make of your performance? Because I spoke to you when you came down to the office today, and I said, congratulations on your performance. You kind of went like, there's a few things to work on. I know fighters are often their harshest critics, but now you've had a chance to kind of look back on it, have a bit of time away. What did you make of your performance? What were you happy with? What weren't you so happy with?
It was a good performance, but I wasn't 100% myself. What I am happy with, I had my head had good head movement. Wasn't getting hit much. I was countering well, and I was actually outboxing him most of the fights. In most of my fights, I've been told that I start too late. I take too long to warm up. So, before in the dressing room, my coach was like, "Listen, none of that 3-round, 4-round warm up. You get in there and you win. You start winning from early." And that's exactly what I did. What I wasn't happy with was I started looping my punches a bit, falling in of punches, and maybe got a bit sloppy towards the end. So that's something to work on. But those are things you can easily work on, fixing the gym and in sparring and doing the longer rounds and stuff like that. So those are little things. But overall, I'm happy I got the win and I come back home, with a belt.
We've spoken, the interview that always sticks in my head that we've done a few, and if people haven't watched the interviews that we've done in the past and you want to learn more about Luther Clay, then please do go back and have a look. Very interesting stuff in there. But one of the things that always sticks out for me is you saying you feel like a volunteer in your job. You still feel like a volunteer?
Nah, it was nice. It was nice, I got a good payday. The thing is, the hardest thing about the boxing and training is because you spend so much money training for your camp, and then you finish the camp and you have no money. So you have a little bit of a up because you just won, and then reality kind of sets back in. It's like, oh man, now I've got to work again and get my money back up, or ask for help from my management. Obviously helps me out, but it puts you on a bit of a downer. But now obviously I got good money for the fight, and that money is not going to change my life or nothing, but it's just going to enable me to go back into the next training camp, on a high because, okay, I can actually get through the camp and not be scrounging for money and stuff like that. So it's very good. It makes you feel better about it, and it makes you more enthusiastic about getting to the next training camp, getting through the work, and looking forward to the next fight. So I'm starting camp on a high now.
The last time I saw you before today was in Bracknell when you were supposed to fight Ohio Kane, live on Boxing Social. Well, it was supposed to be. How rewarding does it feel now you've got that win on a big platform? Not to say that Boxing Social is not a big platform, but now you've got, thanks mate, thanks. You've got that win on a big platform like Sky Sports and DAZN. Considering where you were, I mean, the Ohio Kane fight wasn't even supposed to be the fight you were going to have. There was a last-minute change of opponent, and then on the day the fight got cancelled. Just tell me about how relieved you are now. What does it feel like now you've got that win under your belt?
What happened with the Ohio Kane fight, it was very disappointing, not just for myself, but of course other fighters on the card, but for obviously Al, it was just a big disappointment, and for you guys, Boxing Social, because I know that was in the works for a long time, the collaboration, and it would have been good exposure. So, it was really disappointing. For me, it was more disappointing because, when you're not fighting, you're like, oh man, what do I do now as a boxer? Because you ain't really got a job. You might work part-time, but this is what you're doing. So when you don't fight, you feel like you've wasted 2 months. And then you got to do another 2 months, 3 months of training for the next fight. And I didn't really know where I was going to be because I had set myself like a little target of maybe like reaching the top 100 in the world and getting my first title, and I didn't think that was going to happen now because I thought maybe I'd have to take another easy touch before maybe next year, but now that opportunity came up, took it, and I'm probably even further than I would have been before the Ohio Kane fight. So everything just worked out luckily. Obviously I stayed in the gym, everyone kept me motivated and pulled this out, so it's great.
What's the plan moving forward now? I mean, you just mentioned the fact that you wanted to crack the top 100. I think it's probably safe to say that you've done that now. I mean, Morello was number 15 with a WBO before you beat him, so I'd assume that when the rankings get revised, you'll probably be thereabouts in the top 15. What's the plan for you? Is it to kind of maintain? Do you want like another step-up fight? I mean, what's the plan for you going forward? I know you want to be more active than you have been.
I think the plan going forward is to continue. I don't know whether I'm going to make a defense, but in my head, the plan would probably get another 2, maybe 3 fights. Continue climbing up the rankings, both UK and the world, and then I haven't really thought about the WBO situation because in my mind I'm still a long way from competing on that world level. So I've just thought about continuing getting experience, continue stepping up steadily, and then maybe towards the end of 2020 have like a big domestic fight or whatever fight for some sort of title that people will be excited about. So that's what I got in my goal, but I don't really put too much thought into that. Obviously that's your management's job, and then we just go from there really.
Talk about big domestic fight, a name that's always mentioned, and this is something that we've spoken about a lot in the past, is Conor Benn. When we've spoken about it in the past, it seems, not to be rude, slightly unrealistic, purely because of where you were in your career and obviously not getting the opportunities that you felt you deserved. Now, you've got a good win on a matchroom card. That fight's been spoken about. I spoke to Eddie about it yesterday. Is that a fight that you want? Is that the kind of fight that you look for next year? Is that what you're talking about?
To me, it's always seemed unrealistic because of where I was and where he was. So whenever people talked about it, me, I'd normally brush it off and be like, whatever, man. But you know what? As you said yesterday, Eddie had talked about it, and he even mentioned that the fight was being talked about. We ain't going to say what happened, but for whatever reason that didn't happen. So for me, I'm interested in a fight. He's raw, I'm raw. We're both quite young. I think I'm 23 and he's 22, 21, how old? Something like that. He had 30 amateurs, I had 11. So in terms of us and the other welterweights, we're actually the most close in terms of our boxing experience, you know what I mean? So that's why people want to see it so bad, because we're 2 up-and-coming boxers, rated quite highly. Obviously he's known, but for some reason I'm known on the underground scene, don't know how. So I think it'd be a great fight. He's a come-forward fighter, I don't run, and I think it'd just be like 2 trains colliding, and that's why people want to see it, Hopefully that gets done. I want to come up with my own name. I'm not going to be, shouting his name everywhere, because it's just not me. It's not my character. I got my own career, but I want to fight. And if that don't happen, there'll be other fights that happen, because I'm game. It's just a matter of time what happens.
You mentioned kind of being known on the underground scene, and I've spent all of my life on Twitter, and it was really nice to see the reaction from your win over in Italy. What was that like for you? I mean, having this outpouring of support from people, because I mean, you didn't, and don't have the kind of the stature of a Conor Benn or a Josh Kelly at this point in your career, but yet still people were tuning in to watch you. Still, you were getting a lot of praise from people online.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I had just a lot of ex-boxers and boxing reporters and writers. Even had someone from ESPN. What was it? I forget his name. Steve Kim. I think it's Steve Kim. He even writing about me, saying he was impressed with two boxers, me, bantamweight, and myself. And I was just like, oh, this is crazy, because, I mean, I know people watch the boxing, but in relative terms, I'm thinking, oh, no one's really watching it. But to see all these people and leaving all these comments saying they're impressed with me, it's good, because, as a fighter, you work hard every day. You go to sparring, you get beat up, and then it translates to you having a performance in the gym. But boxing is a very humbling sport, because it's only a few fighters make boxing look easy. You understand? So most of the time, you're always thinking, man, like you're saying, you're overcritical. But then when you get that support and nice comments from people like that, it makes you think, oh, okay, cool, that's great. But it's good for me. It gives you that uplift. But I still stay grounded and try to get back in the gym and keep improving.
Did the win reach back home, family? What was their reaction? What was their reception?
Yeah, the win did reach South Africa. All my family's back there, literally all my family. So everyone was very happy. I even got off the call to SAFM, like one of the biggest radio shows, not just boxing, just biggest radio stations. And then no one knew I was going to be on. And then I had like family messaging me saying, oh, we just heard you on the radio, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I guess it's big on all boards. And for me, I didn't realize how big it is, to win this title. For me, it's a title, but, I just think so big. Like, I think world title, European title, British title. So I don't necessarily be understanding how, like, important it is. So how far it reached and all the audience it touched really, made me understand, okay, like, I've done something significant here.
I know we've spoken about this as recently as today, that your plan, your dream is to bring boxing back to South Africa, or certainly take yourself back to South Africa for a fight. What would that mean to you? And just explain a little bit that dream. I
don't know if you heard the saying, but there's no support like the support from your own people. You understand? So you've got Irish boxers, they get the support from Irish fighters. You got Scottish fight, whatever. You got Mexicans that are Americans basically, but they still call themselves Mexicans and they want to fight in Mexico, because there's no support like the support of your own people. There's nothing to be accepted like your own people accept you. So for me, obviously I was born in South Africa. I moved here when I was 6. I go home every single year. I still consider myself a South African. Just like if you left England and you grew up in Australia, you'd still consider yourself British. So of course, it's a big personal goal for me to fight at home. I understand I'm in a position where I have to focus on now and maybe in the future. Maybe right now it's not realistic, but I will keep pushing for it. No matter how much it annoys my advisors. I'll keep pushing for it. But, I want to go box there one day, and I know one day it will happen. Just got to be the right time, I guess. But, I love South Africa. And shout out to all my South African fans watching, I appreciate it. Thank you for the messages, and that's all I can say. One day.
You speak Afrikaans?
Nah, I speak Zulu. I speak Xhosa. My Zulu and Xhosa is broken. You
have to teach me something. Joseph Parker teaches me a new little bit of Samoan every time I go and see him.
Think about it. I'll just teach you some. Hello is Sawubona.
Sawubona.
I see, that's perfect. And how are you is Unjani.
Sawubona Unjani.
See, you got it. You're fluent. There you go. And then from there you can speak English, because everyone speaks English anyway, so it's good.
Okay, well, next time we do an interview, every time we do an interview, you have to teach me a new little bit.
I got it.
Okay?
Can help me out too.
Okay, before we go, another fight in the welterweight division this weekend. Just like to get your opinion on Errol Spence versus Sean Porter. I know you're a boxing head. You watch all the fights. What do you make of that fight?
It's a big fight. It's an interesting fight. The thing is about that fight, normally we get excited for fights that like you're not too sure what's gonna happen. I don't think people are excited because they don't know what's gonna happen. Like I think I'll say 90%, if maybe not 99% of the world thinks that Errol Spence is gonna win. It's just a case of how he's gonna win. And I'm a big Errol Spence fan. When he came to fight Kell Brook, I said he was gonna beat Kell Brook because I've been watching Spence for a long time. So like I want to see how he does it. I'm not saying Porter can't win, but I think it's just the terms of physical dimensions. You got Spence, who's 5'9", 5'10", physical. He can pick you off from range, and he will, destroy you on the inside as well. And you got Porter, shorter man, not necessarily the best outside boxer. So he does most of his work on the inside, cuffing, smothering, and roughing you up. But it's very hard to rough someone who's got a longer reach than you, who's bigger than you naturally, just as strong as you, and he's also an inside fighter. It's not like Errol Spence does not fight on the inside. So it's just, I think we all know who he thinks going to win. We just want to see how he wins. But I know it's going to be a tough fight. I don't know if he'll stop him, but I think he will hurt Porter. I think he will hurt Porter a couple times. I think he'll punish him, but I'm excited for it. Yeah.
Does the winner of that fight become the number one in the division?
I think Spence is already number one. I think he'll just have a better name on his resume. But then I think he has to fight Crawford. I don't think I personally don't really want to see Manny Pacquiao Errol Spence. I would rather see Errol Spence versus Crawford next, and then if Manny Pacquiao's still around, then they can fight the winner. But I don't think it's realistic to fight. I think we want to see Crawford Spence. I think that's number one and that's number two. Crawford may not have proved it yet that he's there, but that's the general consensus. And I don't think there's anyone else that can challenge Errol Spence. You got other good names, but I think that's the fight that we need to see.
And who would you pick in that fight?
I love Bud. I don't know. I think I'll pick Crawford for some reason. I think I'll pick Crawford. There's something about Crawford that I don't know. I think he could beat him. I think he's strong enough to be able to take what punishment and get out of range, and he's good enough to outbox him on the outside. Because I don't think Spence is the most fluent boxer. A lot of people compare him to Hagler in terms of he's a thudding puncher, not like a one-punch concussive puncher, but he's not as fluid. And Crawford is very fluid in his attack. He moves well. It's just a case of how big and strong is Spence in terms of the skill. But I think Spence is solid, but I think Crawford's a better boxer. But it's the size factor. Same thing against Brook. I mean, Brook was beating Spence, and Brook is not the most fluid either. So it's interesting. But the size, once again, was with Errol Spence, so it's interesting for sure.
Luther Clay fight the winner?
I'm in the WBO ratings.
Okay, well, we'll end it there before you start calling out Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Luther Clay, always a pleasure. Congratulations on your win, picking up your first belt. As I say to people who are watching this interview, please go back and watch the other interviews with Luther Clay. We talk a little bit more about his backstory. Really pleasing for me to see you move up and get the opportunity. Thanks always for coming down to the office. We really do appreciate your time. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Going to big up your sponsors?
Yeah. Memory just went blank because you just said that. All right. I'd like to big up all my sponsors. Thank you for supporting me. You got Admiral Cunningham. You got Fight and Fit down in Bristol. You got Roots Meal Preps supporting me on my meal preps and stuff. You got Bonus Aventus, Maintenance Ltd. You got PCI, my personal trainer. You got Arc Gym. See, this is just a memory game now. This is a memory game. And then Al's Family Butchers for always supporting me in various ways and giving me free stick. Yeah, that's everyone.
And shout out to Betfred for giving me a really good price on Luther Clay. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social, mate.
Thank you, man.